Hey, what's good guys? This is Nightwing2303 from WearTesters.com. Today we got the performance review on the Adidas Harden Volume 2. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into it. Now, as some of you guys may remember, the traction pattern on the Harden Volume 1 was actually a data-driven design based off of pressure mapping Harden's actual footwork. Now, the traction pattern on the Harden Volume 2 is actually supposed to be an evolutionized version of that same data-driven design, which you can actually see on the bottom of the sneaker. However, the performance of it just wasn't as impressive as the Harden Volume 1, and it made it to where I actually did not like the traction on these guys so much. I just basically felt like I couldn't depend on these guys as I needed them. There are certain sections of the pattern where it's just really tightly spaced, and while it was like that in certain areas of the Harden Volume 1, for whatever reason on the Harden Volume 2 they just didn't match up against dust very well. Not only did you have to constantly wipe just to keep them clean, but they just never bit the floor the way that the Harden Volume 1 did. On a positive note, the rubber is super thick. It's also super durable, so if you wear these outside, I think they are going to last. But if you're an indoor hooper, I don't know if you're actually going to like these, especially if you play on inconsistent floors. I actually took these on multiple different floors, and not one time that these guys actually perform in a positive way in my personal opinion. And I even took these on an NBA practice court, which is really nicely kept, and they still had the same issue of just not biting the floor in a way that I actually enjoyed. It was definitely surprising, a little bit disappointing. Again, I really enjoyed the Harden Volume 1 overall. The Harden Volume 2, due to the traction, I can't actually say the same thing. Boost makes a return on the Harden Volume 2. This time around, it's super thick. It's from heel to toe, just like it was on the Volume 1, but the Volume 1 was very low profile. Again, these guys are super thick. You can visually see that. It's kind of crazy. However, you don't actually feel like you're elevated off the floor that much, which is kind of weird. Somehow they were able to stabilize the heck out of this stuff. I think it's because they packed a ton of boost pellets in here, so it just is really heavy, really firm, while still offering you plenty of impact protection and absorption, which is what Boost is known for. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it, but it actually comes out of the shoe quite a bit, so you're basically riding on this big platform. So stability is just not much of an issue whatsoever, despite being really high off the ground. I will say that it tapers quite a bit into the forefoot, so the forefoot area is a little bit more lower profile. But if we're strictly talking cushion right here, there's really nothing else that works as good as this. Granted, it's not for everybody, but if you love impact protection and you love boost mixed with a little bit of court feel, these guys got you covered. Now, the materials on the Harden Volume 2 are very similar to what we saw on the Adidas Dame 3. We have textiles up front, we have synthetics in the back. No premium materials on these guys, unfortunately, like the Harden Volume 1 had. However, it didn't affect the performance, so that's a plus. The textiles up front required no break-in time, which I thought was great. There's this additional stitching layered on top of the actual mesh, and that's to prevent the material from overstretching and things of that nature. It actually worked really well. I'm surprised that we haven't seen this before on Adidas models with the textile uppers, or on any brand's performance sneakers for that matter that use textiles. I think that this was a really great touch. A lot of performance models that use mesh in the toe actually rip right here at the lateral end eventually, and I'll be interested to see if these guys actually suffer the same fate. And then this rear section right here is very similar to the Dame 3. It's just kind of a cage right there, and it's got multiple lacing options. It did its job, can't complain about it. It's not premium like I said, but it's super durable and it works. Now, the overall fit is a bit different than the Volume 1, something I was kind of surprised with. The Volume 1 felt wide up front and they felt a tad bit long. These guys are much more narrow and they feel true to size. I personally went true to size. I think that most of you guys are going to want to as well. Wide footers, you might want to try these on because this little band right here is very tight at the midfoot and it doesn't break in or stretch too much. So if you have a wide foot or a high arch, this might become a problem for you. I personally liked how it felt on court. It felt super snug. I felt really contained inside the shoe. I know that's not for everybody, but for me, I actually really enjoyed it. And then the overall lockdown, I actually had no issues with. The side panel right here with the multiple lacing options worked really well to lock down my foot at the midfoot area. I actually didn't change any of the lacing. I just kept it standard and it worked fine for me. And despite the rear section of the shoe being a lot more bulky and clunky and heavier than the forefoot section, I actually never had any heel slip. There's a lot of padding right there in the back of the heel. It cups the foot in really nicely. On top of that, this internal booty is basically like a neoprene, so it kind of feels like a wetsuit wrapped around your foot and ankle. So again, no heel slip or anything like that. I just felt really secure within the shoe at all times. Now, the support, despite being really high off the ground, was actually really nice. There's an internal heel counter as well as this giant exaggerated rubber piece right here from the outsole. So stability right there was exceptional. Like I said, the lockdown and fit overall was great, so that also added to the overall support. And then they caged the boost right there in a TPU layer. Not only that, it protrudes out a little bit, so it also acts as an outrigger as well. And then inside the shoe right there, there's actually a torsional plate, and it's also a spring plate as well. So that pretty much takes care of it for the performance review on the Adidas Harden Volume 2. Again, I really liked everything about these minus the traction. I just thought that the traction on the Harden Volume 1 was a lot better. It bit the floor a lot nicer in most conditions. These guys did not, especially if there was dust. These guys were a huge issue with dust. You always had to keep these things clean just for moderate traction. But let me know your thoughts on the Harden Volume 2 down below in the comment section. Have you played in a pair already? If you have, please leave your thoughts on them down below in the comment section. I've actually heard varying things about the traction. Some people absolutely love it, some people don't. So if you are one or the other, like I said, leave your thoughts down below. We'd love to hear from you. If you're interested in grabbing a pair in any colorway, you can head over to eastbay.com where they got you covered. A direct link will be in the description box below. There's also going to be a link over to WearTesters.com. You can head over there, check out their price, their weight, their score. So thank you guys once again for watching. We greatly appreciate the support, and until next time guys, have a good one.